So I want to ask people from outside of my country about their take on this particular picture that is going around on Romanian Facebook right now, and everyone's like, blah, 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 blah. uh, it's interesting. Like there are so many people right now that just want to take a shit on hospitals and doctors and churches in general. Like that's what they do. They stay on Facebook and they wait for pictures to outrage them so they can it's insane. But anyway, right, so this picture comes out. Now, no one questions the person that added the picture because, he just says that this is the breakfast at the hospital he's in, and we don't get any other information, like what was supposed to be here, for example. It looks a little bit weird. Why is this spot empty? Like maybe it was a little bit of honey that he could put in his tea. But the person has diabetes, and because of that, he doesn't get any honey. Like that would be particularly relevant for the conversation. I know for a fact that they give tea in the morning at the hospital. But still, let's assume that this is the case. Let's assume that in reality, there is a state hospital that gives you this for breakfast. Okay? I don't know about anything else. Anything else doesn't matter. Like, this is my universe right now. This is the world I am living in when this is a meal given to a patient in the morning for breakfast at a hospital. So I'm looking at it and it's like, all right, 2 slices of bread with butter and 4 slices of salami. So you get 2 sandwiches with butter and salami plus the tea. Like there is tea, trust me. This is for breakfast. Why is this unacceptable? What exactly do you want? I am trying to figure out, because when I was working at a hospital, I would eat less. All I would get in the morning was a cup of coffee, and that was because one of the nurses that was working there would bring coffee for the other nurses and the junior doctors. Like that was it. And I wasn't complaining. But like my point is, like, I do not understand. Like, what do you want? I mean, I understand in a perfect society, Chef Gordon Ramsay would cook you breakfast while you're at the hospital. I understand that, but we do not live in a perfect society. Right now, the doctors have shortages of medications, shortages of protective equipment, shortages of everything. And, with all of that, you still get something to eat. Now, perfect. Like maybe these people do not like the idea of a social hospital where you live because you like, I understand it. Like from your money, the government comes and boop, takes a percentage. You need hospital, you don't need to, no one cares. They will take a percentage of your earnings and put it away for other people to go to the hospital. I understand. If you were to tell Romanians, like, okay, well, let's privatize hospitals, they would freak the fuck out. Like, it's the thing that, it's almost like talking heresy. It's almost like talking, in foreign tongues. They're like, what do you mean privatize the hospital? It's like, well, listen, you would get 25% more money for every wage. Like right now, you go to work, the wage you get would have like 25% extra money that you could invest either in a bank account or put them for an insurance company so that when you do need a hospital, you're going to get a Chef Gordon Ramsay cooked dinner. And you're going to get like the perfect bed, and you're going to get a nurse giving you a sponge bath, and there's not going to be shortages, and this is what I genuinely do not understand. Like, if you do not like this system, do you think that the doctors are there? It's like, let's starve the patients today. Ha ha ha! They do not do this because they want to be mean to you or they want to be evil to you. It's like, the reason they do this is because there is legitimate shortages of everything, even food. Even though, like, again, looking at this, 2 slices of, like, 2 sandwiches with butter and salami for breakfast. We're not talking about lunch. Breakfast, right? For breakfast, 2 slices with butter and salami doesn't mean you're going to starve. There are probably kids in Africa eating less per a week. Okay? So I generally, do not understand the complaint here. And if you don't like this, you can go out and buy something from the kiosk at the hospital. They usually have sandwiches there. Last time I checked, you go to a hospital not to enjoy the delicacy cuisine there. You go in order to get yourself better. That was the point, wasn't it? Now, again, a lot of people are saying, well, we pay so much money for healthcare, and the people at the top, they They steal the money. Because of corruption, a lot of money is being stolen, a lot of money is poorly invested. It's trickle-down welfare, where throughout the chain of travel, from the money going from your pocket all the way to the hospital, a lot of people are taking a cut, and they're doing all of these hustlings in order to make sure. Perfect, I understand. Maybe our country cannot have social welfare then. Did you think about that? Because if everything was private, there would be no money to steal. What can you steal if everything is private? Now, of course, the military should still be public, and the roads should still be public, and the police should still be public, and maybe, like when it comes to absolute emergencies at the hospital, okay, fine. But when it's so many social programs over social programs over social programs, you're like, oh, our country is corrupt. Yeah, well, maybe not every single nation can have a welfare like Norway. Maybe not everyone. Like, after decades and decades of communism, where everyone had to hustle in order to survive, it created a society with the mindset of hustling. And when we live in a time of plenty, and it is a plenty compared to how our parents lived, maybe people just don't know how to not touch other people's shit. Like, again, I told this story that when I was working at a hospital, there was a shortage of paper clips. Couldn't find any paper clips. So what do? I go and I buy paper clips. It was really annoying. Like, you had to look at the papers of a patient, and then, you had to staple them. And you couldn't do it because there was no staples, there was no paper clips. So right, I go and buy them. The next day, there weren't any. Like, what the fuck? I start investigating. I legitimately, bring another box. I put it, and I start following it like a private investigator, wanting to see where it goes. Where does it go? Well, the lady at the counter, the one that the secretary, I guess you could call her, pockets them. And I go and ask her why. Why do you pocket them? And she tells me something that blew my mind. It's like, well, what else can I take from here? And this is like the mentality when you live under communism, because if this is not someone's property, if it belongs to the people, if it belongs to everybody, then, well, no one is going to question when you start pocketing things. Because if you steal shit, if you steal it from a private company, then, of course, the people that, like your boss, is going to be angry. Because you're literally stealing from him. But when it belongs to everyone, then your boss isn't going to be angry because he probably steals shit as well. And I was like, well, if the secretary is taking things, then obviously people who have more power and more responsibility, like the ones in the government, they are still from the same cloth as the secretary. Like, they're still members of the people. They still come from the same roots. So when they get in charge and they all of a sudden have more power and more leeway, they're going to steal more. It's the same mentality that goes from the bottom all the way to the top. Like, I really hate the people. It's like, oh, doctors, no, they take bribes. Oh, politicians, oh, yes, they take bribes. Oh, police officers, because they're the same like you guys. Literally everyone that I know which has a chance in order to do a little bit of hustling, to take something away, they will do so if given the opportunity. 90% of the people I know will do so if given the opportunity. And again, I blame communism for this. Like, a culture that has been ingrained for decades doesn't just go away with a snap because you had a revolution and that. No. Okay? Like, corruption, I think it's a element of humanity. Maybe it's less in other nations, but here in Eastern Europe it exists. And it's not going to just go away like that. The only time it goes away is when a Romanian goes and works abroad. When they go and work in a Western country where no one around them is corrupt, then it compels them not to be corrupt. But when you're surrounded by corrupted people, you're going to do corruption just like everyone else because you think it's normal. So again, like, I really hate this idea. It's like, oh, yes, the politicians, oh, the doctors, the school teachers. It's like, oh, fuck off. Everyone does it. Absolutely everyone. And I know, like, some of the people complaining, I know for a fact they do it as well. And this is what angers me. So it's like, again, maybe Romania just cannot have welfare. Not that right now. Maybe later on. But right now, clearly not. If it has welfare, you're going to get this. Because, again, people at the top steal shit. They hustle, they bustle, and they put on a little bit part for themselves. And again, it's like most people that get promoted, they get promoted by their bosses who know that the guy is hustling and bustling. But because they know that, they can have them by the balls. So they give them a promotion that they don't deserve, and they say, if you don't do what I tell you, And if you ever step out of a line, I'm going to reveal your hustlings. I'm going to reveal all the stuff that you did before getting promoted, and I'm going to get you in trouble. This is like just basic bitch politics in my country. And like, again, like people are so obsessed by communism that the idea of, look, you're not going to pay any more money for social programs. You're going to get 50% more cash every month in your wage, and you get to do with that money however you want. If you don't save it, if you don't put it for that's your fault. No, like they will not think like this. They still look at the government and it's like the government provides, the government gives to me. Oh, why is the government corrupt? Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.